To me, real is more than just part of this YouTube channel's name. It is my promise to give you and everybody at realworldpdr.com the best, no bullshit information on PDR that I could possibly provide. Okay, today's lesson's on this quick little fender dinger. Now, we can make it just about how to fix this tiny little dent, but that's not really my style, is it? Let's use this as a launch pad to learn how to do all kinds of bodyline dent repairs. Hey, what's going on? Jim with Real World PDR. So today we're gonna take a look at this fender dent on this Ford Mustang. Now it doesn't look like much, but when you're first starting out, you're gonna see a lot of dents like this, and actually they're pretty good money makers. You might be thinking this is ridiculous, but let me tell you this. If you're stuck on heavier bodyline damage, it's because you don't understand what's going on these little bodyline damage dents. So we don't have a lot of pressure that I'm trying to push through here. So I'm gonna start it out with something like this. It looks like a mini killer whale tail from Stanliner. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get that body line back in shape and then start to work everything else. Because if we wait too long to get that body line, it's gonna always have a rounded shape to it. So since there's not a lot of pressure, I wanna get that right now. Now to do that body line, I'm gonna roll this thing like so. Now you've seen me do that before with the big killer whale tail. You've seen me do it with a pirate hook. This is gonna be the first time with this small one, but you're gonna see how well that's gonna bring up that body line. Let's check it out. 1 second, Jim. Before we just let's check it out, let's make sure we understand what's going on here. Even dents this size deserve a dent map. So oftentimes what you do to one part of a dent is going to affect another. Never more true than it is right here, and you're really gonna see this when you start working on the big smash work. So what we have here is a relatively low pressure dent, meaning that there's not a whole lot to push through, but on either side of this body line, we have a low pressure area here, literally low enough we could probably move it with our finger. Now this body line is gonna hold a lot more pressure. Now as we move this body line, you're gonna find that both of those low pressure areas move inwards towards the body line. That's why I'm starting there. Now you're gonna find a lot of this dent doesn't even have to be touched. So go to realworldpdr.com. Now the lesson that you can use right after this one is going to be pinchy little body lines. I love that lesson. It's one of my older ones, but it really explains PDR well. You're going to see that this dent is kind of what the target is for deeper dents, meaning that we're going to turn deeper dents into something that looks more like this before we really start pushing on them. So okay, now we've got this Stanliner tool in here. I'm focusing on this body line. And as I start pushing right along that body line, you're going to see both sides of this dent. Well, you can't really see one side, but you're going to see the other side of this dent start pulling inwards, and you're going to see it disappear without having to even touch it. Here's the lesson. Why is such a small dent even worth us talking about? Well, think about this. How much better your repair is going to look if you could figure out how to repair areas of your dent without ever touching them. That's right, no over pushing, no lines, no anything. It's because you never had to push. So here's the same clip, sped up a little bit, and you can see it happen a little faster. Earlier I put a little circle. There is a low that's hiding from us here in the light, but we'll take a look at that in a second. So as I apply some heat here, there you can see the little low that's left over. See, now a lot of this dent has just disappeared. I haven't had to touch it, but working that body line has pulled both sides, both lows, into that body line area because that's where it had been displaced. So a lot of what pinchy little body lines on realworldpdr.com is about is replacing displaced metal. If you can learn the concept of replacing displacement, I guarantee you that your repairs are going to turn out cleaner. I guarantee you those repairs that you once thought impossible are going to come to you. And I guarantee you that this is where it starts. Start thinking about your repairs just a little bit differently. So here I am using that same Stanliner tool and I'm rolling through that damage. Now I'm going to create tiny little highs on either side of this body line that I'm going to knock down later. Now I will talk about later some alternative tools because I know not everybody has the same Stanliner tools that I use, and there are really great alternative tools that you could use to repair this damage. Now another reason I do like repairing it this way is because if you notice, all of my pushes, all of these rolls are traveling with the contour of the panel. Now, if you notice, next time you see something heavily contoured like this Mustang fender is, look, there's actually little striations, little lines. You can actually tell that there's a flow of metal moving in that direction. And the more that we can keep the metal moving in that direction, the more our pushes are all lining up with that, the more natural our repair is going to look at the end. You'll find the more that you line up with that natural flow of the metal, the less cross-checking that you'll have to do. Now, cross-checking is still important. Don't think that I'll ever tell you not to cross-check. Definitely do it. So here I am using this VIT tip to knock down the little highs that I've created, but I'm knocking down in a way that's flowing those highs back to the body line. That's keeping the body line sharper. And again, I'm replacing displacement. Now, if we start thinking about everything we do as just up and down, that's a dangerous thought. I know something that's heavily said among PDR techs is pick up the lows, knock down the highs. That's dangerous thinking. And that is thinking that's going to get you to a plateau that's hard to overcome. Start thinking and recognizing that you are absolutely trying to get this metal back to its most relaxed state. Now, its most relaxed state is going to be where it was after it was stamped. That's where it's naturally supposed to be. So always be thinking about how you're moving the metal in such a way. Just trying to force it up and down and not taking into consideration where it was beforehand, don't do that. So here we're going to use this MT rod from PDR Finesse. It's a sharp tip rod, and I'm going to just travel up and down that body line like I had before with that stand liner tool, just trying to get any kind of little micro lows and sharpen up that body line ever so slightly more. Remember, the devil is in the details here with PDR, so anything that you could do to make your repair just a little bit better is going to make a huge difference at the end. Now, especially as we start dealing with damage that's much, much bigger than this. You know, one mistake on a small dent isn't so bad. Wait till you get 200 mistakes on a large dent. Well, that's going to stick out like a sore thumb. So even when you're doing small damage like this, make sure that your tool selection's on point. Make sure that you're focusing on perfecting this dent. One advantage I had is I started out in a manufacturing facility. Now, we didn't fix really large damage, but everything that we fixed was inspected in a light tunnel, so everything had to be perfect. So I got used to doing perfect repairs, small but perfect repairs early on. I think a lot of PDR techs skip that step. On Real World PDR, I will show you how to check your own repairs so you can see and you can tell and you can know without a doubt that your repairs are perfect. This is another VIP tip, I think I said VIT earlier, that I'm using just to get these fine-tuned things done. I'm not using a sharp tip here because kind of getting the broad strokes. And I didn't screw anything up enough to have to get any kind of precision knockdown work going on. As you can see here, everything turned out clean. Okay, so that's it. Not really a difficult dent, but one that's good to keep your skills fresh on making things perfect. So I did start out this dent with this tool. Now, if you don't have a bunch of stand liner tools, that's okay. I would have used a soft tip to work right along that body line if I didn't have stand liner tools. And then to finish up, I used what I often use to finish up. That's going to be this MT rod from PDR Finesse. That's just to get those little fine points, those little micro lows. Try to keep the texture clean throughout. Don't pimple it up to start out with, and you won't have anything to worry about. Also, you probably saw that I was using a bunch of heat throughout that. This is a very particular customer. You should always be concerned about crack and clear coat, that kind of thing. So keeping this one nice and hot was imperative. So to gain access, we took down this fender liner. Now, normally I probably wouldn't have taken it all the way down, but again, this is a very, very particular customer. So I didn't just want to create a little space here. Sometimes when you do that, you'll end up with these little tiny tears in the fender liner, and it's the kind of thing that I think this customer might have keyed in on. So dropping it all the way, got it out of the way. There was no risk of damaging it, and that's why I did that. So again, if I didn't have stand liner tools, regular old soft tip, this one's from Ultra, double bend preferably, is gonna get you all the soft pushes, all the leverage you need because of that extra bend in there. Now, pro tip, if you're having trouble getting leverage with your tool, turn the tires that you're leveraging off of whatever way is gonna give you more. So back here, probably wanna turn the tires to the left. That's gonna give me more, it's going to change my fulcrum point to make it so I can leverage off that tire a little bit better. As a bonus, here's a little bit of shop footage for you that I took.
Caveat in that last video, Jim says, and that's why I did that, meaning took the fender liner down. Mm-hmm. What he meant to say was, that's why I had Steve did that.
Ha! Steve did that. Dumb old Steve.
I'm just trying to take all the credit I can here.
So what you see here is that's not as easy as you might think, because Steve's a tiny little human And even his tiny little arms, well, not that they're not muscly, Steve,
Very vascular.
are having a hard time getting in there.
I can't get my noggin in there either.
So yes, we could have just worked through that fender liner. I didn't want to take a chance of causing damage to it. So we get Tiny Arm Steve to help.
Baby Steve. But they're vascular.
But they're vascular. So Jasper's sitting here watching Steve put this fender liner back up.
Yeah, he's not very good at it.
Nah, he seems to be struggling.
You better get your hands off that before he breaks something.
He's even smaller than you.
He's a little guy.
Is he smaller than you though?
Oh yeah.
Who do you think will win in a fight though?
Me. Cause I'll bring a knife.
Wrong.
Steve says wrong.
He might be able to like snap my neck with a fucking one of them moves he's got, but
I've got $5 on this fight. Just to make it happen. I don't care who wins.
$5?
Yeah.
Alright.
All right, Steve.
I'll lay down for $350. Deal.
Deal. All right.
I think I'm not gonna hit him once real good.
You should hit him.
Bloody his nose a bit.
Imagine the red color against that pale ass skin.
Oh God.
That would be glorious. Steve, did you bleed on my truck yesterday?
You bled all over it.
You bled right on my truck.
Right from there.
That's flipping me off.
He
Like,
didn't
it's
have
fine.
a tampon.
That stained the vinyl
From
wrap
somewhere
right?
in this region.
And that's that, folks. So remember to check out realworldpdr.com. That is your home to the best, no bullshit, paintless dent repair tutorials you can find anywhere on the internet. Now remember, this lesson is about replacing displacement, which a lot of my lessons are about. I want you to pair this one with pinchy little body lines on realworldpdr.com. Because between those two, you're going to get a good idea of what PDR is all about and, frankly, how to perform it. Don't discount some of these beginner lessons because I'm telling you right now, it's all building blocks. The more you understand now, the easier the intermediate and the advanced and the super advanced lessons are going to be. Really get your mind wrapped around these processes, what's actually happening with the metal, so that way you really understand what's happening when we hit those big smashed dents. So thank you everybody for your support now. In the future, it means the world for me. RealWorldPDR.com. This is Jim Mitchell. I'm out.